All right, hi guys. I'm going to walk you through my entire album process. I actually just recorded this video and then realized that I only recorded like one screen and it wasn't showing you anything that I was talking about. So I'm going to go through round two. Hopefully it is like a more streamlined version because I do not have everything pulled up. So let me just do that right now. But I'm going to walk you through how I do my album design. So currently I'm using Album Stomp to design my albums, and then Album Proofer, it's Prufr, for my clients to be able to view them. And those two are like synced up, but Album Proofer is $50 a year, I think. And I use Kiss Albums. So Kiss Albums to have my albums printed. The company was made by a photographer. It's run by a photographer, and they do a phenomenal job with quality. I've had friends who've had an album be printed not properly in the past, and they've taken care of it. So they have a really great customer customer service, and they do a really good job of making sure that everything is like flawless and it is of like the best quality I think out there. So that is what I currently use. I currently offer albums in my mid package. Now for 2021 going forward, it's in every single package. But beforehand, it was in my mid-tier package, and I would include the 10 by 10 album, and it includes 15 spreads, so that's 30 pages total. The spread is like the left and right page together combined. And I would let them know that they had 15 spreads to choose. But let me walk you through. This is what my album page looks like, and I email this out to my clients again when I'm sending them the album design so that they know. But I let them know how many are included with their actual package. So first things first, when I send out the client's final gallery with all their wedding day images edited, if they had already purchased an album, I let them know, hey, if there are any images that you absolutely love, please let me know so that I can include them in your album design. I'm going to be putting together a mock draft design for you guys to go over, and I am pretty much letting them know that I take all the hard work out of their hands of having to select just 200 images out of 1,500 images that they're getting in their gallery. So usually I will just use, I'll use all images that I edited for the blog, and then I'll go through and grab some family portraits as well that I know are like their immediate family and ones that they would probably want included. And then I do also look through if they posted like an album or something to Facebook, are there any specific images in there that I wouldn't have already included in the album draft, and I make sure to include those. Generally, my clients don't really respond back with any specific images that they're looking for in their mock album draft. And usually the ones that I send them, they are it's 90% there. They just have a couple of tweaks to make to them. So that's really, really good. So let me walk you through that email template that you guys have in the vault on what I send to them once I have created the mock album draft and I'm sending it to my clients. So I will send them this questionnaire with this email template. So let me go through the email template first, and then walk you through that. You guys already have access to this, so it'll be super easy for you. But I just let them know that I've loved getting to design their album. I let them know what the link is for them to view it. So this is the link that they get, and they have a specific email and password here, like you see this, and then I will always include their photo gallery link again so that it's super, super simple and they have everything that they need to start making those or requesting those changes from me, all in one place. They don't have to go digging through their emails for their gallery or anything like that. This is my view of what they are seeing, but this is pretty much what they see to make revisions as well. It's going to take a little time to load. I had this all loaded and everything, and then I closed out of everything, realized I wasn't even recording. But here I just have a Loom video. It's called LOOM, and you can screen record and record your voice at the same time. So I walk them through exactly how to request those changes. I let them know that I do all my design updates virtually. So in the past, mistake that I've made is I drove to a client's home to help do these changes in person one time. Their house is 40 minutes away, and we spent over 4 hours because they hadn't reviewed the design before I before I got there, even though I had asked them to. They just like hadn't found time to do that. So they were going through the design for the first time, and then they were requesting changes, and I was making changes. The album stomp is a little bit slow, and as I was trying to get things like really, really perfect and designed properly, like that takes some time, like we know that. But it was like equally as frustrating for them to sit there and like watch me go through this whole process. And after that, I was like, you know what, I'm doing all my design updates virtually to keep it as streamlined as possible for both parties included, like not just for me but for them as well. So I let them know, and then I give them a deadline to respond with the first round of revisions, just so that I can like get the ball rolling, get them to start like moving on that. If I don't hear anything back within 2 weeks, like I'll just follow up with emails or send them a text or whatever to make sure that we are going through this in a timely manner. So again, I outlined, again, like you have 15 spreads included with your package, and I will always design more than 15. I'll generally send over anywhere from like 20 to 25, maybe 30 if it was a really, really like large wedding and they had a lot of different things like first looks with like bridesmaids and stuff like that. But I will send them more than what they have included in the hopes of them getting more spreads in their album to tell like their entire day cohesively and in the chance of upselling. I do let them know in the questionnaire the pricing for that, and I do send over like the albums page again so that they know like pricing is reiterated there. So this is pretty much what the email to them looks like. You have this email in your vault, so you guys will be able to go into that more depth. This is the questionnaire that I send over. Again, I'm reminding them how many spreads they have included in the site, and I let them know how much it is per additional spread, and that it will be invoiced through Honeybook after the album design has been finalized. So that way I am paid for any extra spreads before I put in that order with the album company. So I'm like covered for the extra costs before I go and pay the company. And again, I link that albums page, and I let them know again, like very clearly what a spread is, like 2 pages left and right. And then I let them know to choose which spreads that they want to keep in their final design. Again, mistake I've made in the past. And so I'm like imparting this knowledge to you guys. So hopefully it saves you some time and headaches. In the past, I had told a bride this, and she was like, hey, like, how about I make changes to the whole design first, and then I'll narrow down to the 15 spreads. And that just ended up being hours of more work on my end. And at the very end of the process, she came back and she said, oh, I can totally see now why you have people narrow down to the 15 spreads first and they make revisions from there. So it was like kind of like doing all this work for naught. And so now I like very clearly lay down that boundary of this is going to be the most efficient way for both you and for me, so that they know. I think that just like making all the revisions first and then narrowing down to 15 is more like decision fatigue on their end. So I let them know that this is like how it goes. Here's the video again where I tell them how they can request the changes. And I have them tell me exactly which image number, like literally the name of the image, to switch with the other name of the image, because in the past I've had people be like, switch out this bouquet shot for this other picture, and I had no idea if they meant the bouquet shot of just the bouquet with the shoes on the spread. And like, just to be super clear and avoid back and forth, I have them tell me the image names. And I'll mention this a little bit later. I also only provide them currently with 2 cover choices, and actually like 90% of my couples have gone with the oatmeal linen. It just is what it is. I have a feeling that if I open it up for more than these different album covers, most people are still going to go with the oatmeal linen, but just to keep things super simple on my end and their end, and to avoid like decision fatigue, again, to get this like streamlined and done as efficiently as possible, I'm only including these 2 currently. If you wanted to include more cover options, I think a really great way to do that is to have this on this albums page that you design. The reason why I make this through my website and not through my PDF is because we book our clients so far in advance, like probably book them like 2 years before or 1 year before you're doing their album design. So I want to make sure that this is like the up-to-date pricing. Like if I switch over to a different album company or anything like that, like I want to make sure that this is as up-to-date as possible. So that's why I keep this on a website page. But if you wanted to include different like album cover options, I would definitely put that here, like have the image of all the different colors with the names, and then have them on the questionnaire just quickly fill out exactly what name of the cover that they want. Right now, I just like have this linked to two different Google Drive images, but I'll probably pop this onto my albums page here. So next things next, last thing on the questionnaire is I have them tell me what they want imprinted on the cover of the album, and I give them an example so it's like very clear, easy for them to follow. And then I always ask for an updated mailing address, because sometimes over the course of like getting engaged, getting married, moving in together, like they might buy a new house and have a different address than they first had on their proposal from like a year or two ago. And I want to make sure that the album is going to the correct home. Sometimes I'll actually email them before I place the order for the actual album myself. I will like double check with them what their the mailing address is for them, just to make sure that it's going to the right place, because the last thing I want is for this like $400 album to show up on somebody else's doorstep and never make it into their hands. So this is just something to be really mindful of. I highly recommend asking this of your couples before you send them an album. So let's go into how I actually design albums. I am hoping that you can still see my screen. Let's make sure. I think so. I'm crossing my fingers that it's working this time. So I use Album Stomp currently. This might look different in 2021, but I'll walk you through that as well. But in Album Stomp, let's see. If you go to make a new album, this is what the screen looks like. You can give it a name, and you can select your album company. And this way it'll like put the final images of the spreads in the correct dimensions, because you choose what type of album size that you want here too, and it will automatically know like the margins for each company that's in here, which is super, super nice and very, very helpful. And then you just say it's album time. You can import all your images here. Super easy. And the way that I actually do this, just to make things, again, very easy for me, is on my hard drive, I'll actually create a folder in the couples folder. So you've seen my folder structure, so you know it's like 2020 weddings, Chloe and John's weddings. We have raw, co-edited blog, and their Lightroom catalog. So I'll create another folder that's called album, and every single image that's in the album design, I will copy from blog or copy from the family portraits into the album folder, so I know that it's pulling from that album folder, and it's easier to sift through all the images if I need to right there. But this is kind of how you use Album Stomp. Let me move myself into this corner. What I really like is you can just click and drag really easily, and now you can see here like the number says what spread the image is on. You can also view all the spreads really easily here like this. And the cool thing is that this actually syncs to Album Proofer. So Album Proofer is like the client side, what they're going to view. Let me save this first. You're going to see where I had saved it previously on my desktop. It's like down here. Let's replace it. It's fine. And I really like, so I'm hitting Command, and you can select multiple images, and if you drag it to the top, it's going to put it across these two spreads, and just like this. Or if I hit Control Z and do that again, if you pull it down near the bottom, it's going to go across the two spreads, like go over. This little line here is the actual seam of the album itself, but kids' albums are high super quality, and you don't generally see that seam like at all. It gets printed over, so it's really, really nice. But this is kind of how you use this. You can use this to like resize the whole thing, click and drag it around. You can use this little guy here to crop the image if you want to. Hit save. You can like zoom in. If you double click this, you can drag it to switch the order of things. Something that's also really, really cool is here, if you hit layouts, these are all the layouts for 3 images that they will like auto populate for you, and you can like resize things obviously if you want to. drag and switch it if you want to. If you drag an image up here, you can either replace an image just like that, or what you can do is if you drag to the bottom, it'll just add it into the spread. So now it's going to show you the layout for like 4 images all at a time. So I really love this, and it shows you like this is the bleed area. So you have to be really careful. You want everything to go past the bleed and like cover the entire thing, or you want it to be within that little margin right there. So like this is good. You never want it to, sorry here. You never want it to overlap with the bleed because it might not be printed properly that way. So that's like the basics of using this album design called Album Stomp. What's really cool is if your client comes and like has feedback for you, they will put that feedback here online. This is like what they see. And they can just use the arrows to go through the whole spread, and here they can see the image number, which I think is really great because they can just be like, can you replace highlight 7 for like, this is a different gallery. I tell them to click on the image and hover over it. Here, let me move this. And they can see the name, and I tell them to let me know like sneak peeks 6, and that way I know exactly what image they're talking about. And they just like put that in here. And then once they've gone through like the second revision and stuff like that, they can just say approve album, and that way I know that they're good with the final design. They also can really easily like switch to specific pages here, or just use the arrows. So that's kind of just how it looks on their end, but any feedback that they give me comes over here, and I can use this like real quick, and I don't have to use like multiple screens or anything back and forth to make the changes that they're requesting. So once that's all done and good, and you have all your spreads, what you want to do is you will hit stomp it, and essentially it's compressing every single spread into one JPEG image that's sized properly for you to just upload into your album design software online. So that's really, really awesome. So your album company's like printing area, you put your spread. So that's a little bit of how that looks. Moving forward in 2021, I am thinking of just using Kiss's album design because they let you do pretty much everything that you would want and could do in Album Stomp and Album Proofer, and Album Proofer is $50 for the year. So I'm trying to see if I can cut down costs. But here they can even like see what the cover looks like and stuff like that too. But this is what it looks like on their end, and if they want to make a comment, they can just hit this little guy here and pop in any of their comments here. The only thing that I haven't quite figured out how to do, and maybe somebody else has used Kiss a little bit more like this online editing version than I have, is I don't know how to like let them see the actual image names of these images here for them to easily request changing out like this image versus this image. Because like on a picture like this, it could be a little bit harder for them to communicate like, oh, the picture I'm looking away. I just want to make sure that the looking away picture is this and not like this, because she's technically looking away, and I don't want there to be confusion back and forth on that. But other than that, I would say it does pretty much everything that Album Proofer does as well. And I think it's a little bit easier to even to navigate this one. You can view it enlarged, stuff like that. Like, sorry, here. So I'm going to see if I can figure out a way for me to make that work. I believe that you get like 3 to 5 free designs in here, and then you can just archive more that you have done in the past. So there is that. Oh yeah, 3 active designs, 200 images per design. I don't think I've ever like hit or gone over that limit, so I feel like you should be fine with the free version of it. I will say that, let's see, I want to say when I go to order all my albums, I will opt for the the nicer packaging that comes with it. So it'll be like gift wrapped essentially. It has a nice white bow around it. It has a handwritten note. And I think that's like 35-ish extra dollars. It's a little bit more expensive. But I just like that it's like really nice and like very presentable, and it's like very high quality for them to receive it as like a gift. It kind of just like adds to that overall experience. And then I currently just have it with the dust cover, which is of no additional cost. But in the future, I might look into like including a box or something like that where it's like more heirloom quality for them. But again, I've started really simple with my albums. Now that I've kind of like got the process working and done a couple under my belt, I am going to expand into like the options that I'm going to give people, and hopefully just make it more elevated for them. So let's see. And then just a quick note on the specific spreads that I use is I use the matte paper. I used to use Luster. Both of them are super high quality and I really like them. But I think the matte is a little bit more impervious to like UV light rays and stuff like that. When Kiss does ship the actual album, it will have instructions on how to keep the album safe and stuff like that. So that's really nice. And I use the thick pages because they're just like higher quality, less likely to bend, and are just like super fine art quality almost, for my couples. And I think it really adds like to that heirloom quality of the album. And then yeah, my default size that I include in packages is 10 inches. I have the option for people to upgrade to 12 inches, but again, like most people are going to go with what's already included in your package. Maybe they'll upgrade the number of spreads, but I would say if you want like something certain like that you want your clients to go with, I would include that in your package, and just let them know that up front. There was one more thing that I wanted to say. Okay, so last thing is that when I first started, I would have Kiss ship the albums to me. I would quality check all the pages and stuff like that, and I photographed them. And that was super, super helpful to show future clients what albums look like in the future. Future clients, God. We're just gonna roll with that. And I think it was helpful because I like knew that Kiss was providing a really quality product. Now, after having shipped a couple to my home, I actually ship all of it directly to my clients. Now, I've never had an issue, and Kiss is also like notoriously amazing on reprinting something if it's reprinted wrong, and is an error on their part. But I always make sure that I go through the final spreads just like a couple of times, and I never do it when I'm tired because I want to make sure that it looks perfect in their revision before I ship it to the printer, because you can't change it after that unless it's an error on their part. Another thing is if you're just getting started with an album, I would really, really recommend ordering a sample album so that you can go through the entire process from start to end and kind of like really understand what it's going to be like on your end before it's like being shipped to a client. And that way you can use your sample album and show it to clients on their consults. And that is going to just increase your chance of booking by so much. I have never had a client book a package with an album that didn't actually physically see the album in person. Obviously now with COVID and like Zoom calls for consults and stuff, that's a little different. For in person, I used to walk them through the whole wedding process, showing them each page on the album. And I think that that really reinforced the like importance of having an album for them. For Zoom calls, what I do is it's really heavy. Like it's a really heavy album. So it's hard to like flip through it for a Zoom call, but I will pull it up at the end and be like, hey, the upgraded collection has the album in it. And I kind of just walk them through like, this is what it looks like. The pages are super thick. I'll flip through a couple of spreads so that they can kind of see the really nice quality of it on the Zoom call at the very end before we hop off. But yeah, if you had any questions on this entire album process, feel free to reach out. You guys know that I'm totally an open book and here to help you out in any way that I can. I hope that this was helpful, and I can't wait to see how this just elevates your whole client experience.